What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla SPY and a couple of other tickers. I'm also going to talk about some big developments on the charts, not to mention some news involving Elon Musk, as he gave us more confirmation about the robotaxi event. I'm also going to break down some news that's coming out later on for the markets going into tomorrow, what you should be watching for on Tesla SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and the others. But first, let me just mention that I am not a financial planner. Make sure you take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total. And the offer ends in just about 2 weeks from now. Anyways, for Tesla, we had this nice looking channel that was where Tesla was trading at for the past 2 days, but then Tesla made an attempt to break through this. So we are kind of dipping a little bit, so there could be a little dip coming to Tesla. We're going to be watching to see if Tesla gets a big bounce from here, or if we end up losing support to come back down from this as well. So there's going to be a very, very big test tomorrow to be watching for, in my opinion. So I'll break down what I think is going to likely pan out, and we should be going about this at least moving forward. But I first want to talk about Elon Musk, something very important that he said that's huge for Tesla, not to mention big news. So this man named Warren tweeted that what's really going on with the Tesla robotaxi event on August 8th? Did Elon Musk suggest a massive engineering change that left Tesla engineers speechless? Yes. Is the event delayed? He's saying not yet, but actually the answer is yes, it is technically delayed, at least based off what we're seeing. Musk also mentioned that, and this is excuse me, how he kind of replied. He mentioned that he requested what I think is a very, very important design change to the front, and the extra time allows them to kind of show off a few other things. So it's actually very important. Musk is saying this as a result, and he's implying that yes, there is going to be extra time requested to make these changes. So it is the truth. The robotaxi event is delayed. However, despite it being delayed, Elon Musk never specified about to what extent. We don't know if it's going to be a 1 month delay, a 3 month delay, or anything like that. Lots of sources from Bloomberg were saying it's going to be delayed until October. We don't know for sure. We don't know for sure, guys, so I can't confirm that 110%. We will see what Elon Musk says. There might be a reason why Musk isn't talking as much about this. He is saying that, yes, he did request more time to improve the front of the design of the robotaxi, which implies they have a product coming out very soon. However, we don't know exactly when the event is going to happen. Tesla has not confirmed that yet. Sources are saying it's going to be October. That's when it's going to be delayed until, but we don't know for sure. Musk could be holding back from giving us a date because it depends on different factors, and he may be waiting some time before making some kind of announcement. That could be why he's a little bit quiet about this. That's why they're waiting quite some time. But this is also making a lot of headlines all over the news today. There's also some big news that's coming out about Tesla's kind of improvement that's been made to their batteries. You guys can see the new 4680 cells incorporating an increase in range, 6 times the power, and 5 times the energy. Why is this? Well, they're actually incorporating a new kind of battery that's doped with manganese-rich cathode. That's actually very important because these materials provide better capacities, better retention, prolonged cycles. So it's very, very bullish news, at least for the long term. A lot of people are getting applauded for this, and I think that this could be very useful for new developments. So this could be very, very big. We'll have to see what ends up coming with this, if they make any big announcements for the new product, any factors like that. But this is a very, very big development that Tesla is working on. On top of all this, I just wanted to mention that for other factors, when it comes to big things affecting the markets, there's not really a whole lot else that's coming out tomorrow. It's going to be a very quiet data day. 1 hour before the market opens, or I'm sorry, 30 minutes before open, we have Barkin giving a speech. Then we have the industrial production and capacity numbers coming out from manufacturing, all very, very minor pieces of data. Then we have Waller giving a speech. Then we have the Fed Beige Book coming out. It's all very, very minor data for Wednesday and even Thursday. So much of the data is very minor for tomorrow, so I'm not really expecting it to be as impactful. That gives the market more leeway. For tomorrow, it's going to be Wednesday. Don't forget that we have ASML, Johnson Johnson, Ally Bank announcing their earnings. And then after the market closes, we have United and Discover. For today, we had big bank earnings. I went over these many times in my morning video, so I'm not going to talk about these. But Interactive Brokers also announced their earnings, and they did pretty well. EPS was a nice beat at $1.76. Sales are also up to about $1.29 billion. Accounts increased 28%, with equity increasing by about 36%. That's why the share price is up quite a bit. Now, right now, the Fear and Greed Index is currently at greedy. We're seeing a lot more buyers defending. Momentum is still extremely greedy as we're holding well above our moving averages, so nothing is really changing here. There's still a lot of bullish looking options chains, at least for the short term. This is just the 5-day average. It's still kind of low because of the fact that we're seeing a lot more buyers stepping in and more shorts being closed. And then the VIX is still kind of neutral. It is trying to break a little bit higher, but it's not really affecting the entire market. It's not really affecting it like before because there's no confirmation of a stronger move. So for Tesla, Baird gave Tesla an outperform rating, which is good news. Also, Cantor Fitzgerald gave them an overweight rating, which is bullish. Citigroup gave them a neutral rating, so pretty good stuff so far. The price-price ratio is climbing as we're getting some strength, not to mention the fact that seasonality is showing some improvements. We're starting to see daily seasonality once again showing us that Teslas tend to be green about 48% of the time on Wednesdays. And then we tend to see more volatility around 11 o'clock a.m. and also during the second to last hour of the day. So that's something else that's worth noting. We also tend to see volume at about 126 million. That's actually above average. Not bad whatsoever for Tesla. And overall, if you look at the dark pool volume, this is actually increasing. So we're starting to see a little bit more shorting, but nothing too crazy for Tesla standards. So that being said, let's now just kind of focus more on the charts and focus less on news. I know the news can be very overwhelming sometimes. So what's happening with Tesla? What is my personal opinion of Tesla and the market in my personal opinion? Well, looking at the way Tesla's looking, we had this nice little range that Tesla was stuck in, and now Tesla's making an attempt to break out of it. But what generally happens when you see breakouts is a retest of our support for confirmation of the breakout. So we'll have to watch and see if this truly is going to lead to one. So during the pre-market, I think what's going to happen is this. Tesla might dip a little bit, okay? And that's why it's kind of red in the after hours. So I think there are two possibilities. It's possible Tesla might dip like this. We might be retesting 252, but this looks like a symmetrical structure that could be forming. And this may be very, very close to where the breakout area is. So we might kind of like, we might see a wick that kind of like touches this area before it tries to rebound. So if we get a wick touch right over here in the morning tomorrow and Tesla starts getting bought back up, as long as we can break 258 again, I think we're easily going to the 260s. So watch that resistance, that 258 area. Tesla came just short of breaking that for today. This looks like a symmetrical structure, kind of like an inverse head and shoulders. This could be like a left shoulder here. This could be our head, and this could be our right shoulder. This also aligns with the key Fibonacci retracement area. Not bad whatsoever for many confluences. But that does look like the most likely possibility for a little bit of a dip and a bounce. Now, that's the more bullish case. The bearish case would be, what if we end up actually failing the test? Let me actually elaborate on what I mean by that. So as you guys can see, we have this channel that Tesla was stuck in where, Tesla was trading between these two blue lines. What could happen is if we are bearish, if we get a bad piece of news and we end up losing 250, I think that's going to be a key support. We're going to likely return into this range and continue to range trade like this and remain bearish within the channel right over here. See the blue channel? We're going to likely remain in this bearish phase and continue to trade in here if we end up losing key support. All right. So that's like the more bearish case. All right. But what's looking more probable, in my opinion, is the bullish case because of this symmetrical structure, and also because of the fact that we're attempting to break out, and because Tesla doesn't really have too much bad news and buyers are still defending it. As we mentioned earlier, guys, I want to make it clear that Tesla has a tendency of kind of like popping and dropping. So we kind of popped and then dropped on Monday. For Tuesday, we kind of popped and dropped, but then we got bought back up at the end of the day. So going into Wednesday, tomorrow, we might pop a bit, then drop back down to retest the support. But if we truly are bullish and Tesla's about to get a bounce, we have to bounce off this key level and start to push up higher. If we don't do so, we're going to be coming back within this range. So watch for that carefully. I do favor this move right here. We kind of like dip a bit and then bounce off our trend line, and that's looking a bit more probable. Also, there's a nice confluence with our key fib levels. For Tesla, I also want to mention that the daily time frame, which is always important to look at, is looking a little indecisive, a little bit more bullish with this wick forming. So it is showing some life in my personal opinion. So we'll see if that ends up being the case. Anyways, let's talk about a couple more. I'm going to go back to actually the hourly time frame. SPY is in a world of its own because, like I said it before in my early video, the market is shifting, okay? The market used to be like the QQQ and SPY move together, blah, blah, blah. Now it's different. Now we're starting to see the S&P 500 and the IWM outperforming the market. And we're starting to see other stocks out there like, tech stocks, not to mention the QQQ, the NASDAQ, they're kind of underperforming because we're seeing this big rotation in the markets right now. Financials are actually outperforming too, and so are small caps. So we have a bullish wedge-like structure developing on the S&P 500 and SPY. In my personal opinion, even though we do like to kind of pop and drop, we kind of did that today as well. We kind of popped a bit and dipped back down, only to get bought back up at that very end of the day. Excuse me. So this favors what's happening is we're holding this blue trend line. This favors us kind of like holding this and trying to push up higher to higher levels. If we lose 561, we're going to be looking for a dip down to 560. If that fails us, we turn bearish. If we break past 565, we're going to be looking for 566. And if that breaks, 567.5 is our next target. What is looking more probable is we dip a little bit to retest the blue trend line. Well, actually, we kind of pop in the morning first to like new all-time highs. Then we dip down to the blue trend line to retest it, and then we may hover above this and continue to push higher. This chart looks a little bit more bullish for now. Looking at technicals, we're just continuing to climb. There's no sign of us breaking down quite yet. Nvidia has a head and shoulders like structure that's kind of developing right here, as you can see on the hourly time frame. If we lose 125, we're going to be dipping down to about 121. If we break past 127, look for 130. My gut tells me that this head and shoulders may lead to a little bit of a dip and a move all the way down to about 121. So that is looking a little bit more favorable as we're seeing weakness in tech. Once again, Nvidia is slowing down alongside other semiconductors. So something else that's worth noting. For ES, those who are interested in trading futures, it also looks bullish, just like as its leading SPY. This actually helps SPY quite a bit. I think that there's a good chance that ES could kind of dip a bit, then try to bounce. Maybe we kind of dip a little bit now back to our 20 EMA, then we bounce off this and start pushing tomorrow morning to a new all-time high towards the 5730 area. So it still looks bullish. It's still making higher highs and higher lows. We had this high here, came down, made a higher high up here, higher low, higher high, higher low. So it might continue to push just temporarily. For Bitcoin is looking a little bit more bullish. We got a nice cup and handle like structure. Going to be looking for a test of about 66,000. If that breaks, look for 67,500. Nice breakout on Bitcoin, which is leading other crypto stocks. On top of this, we have the QQQ, not Coinbase. I was about to say Coinbase. I mean the QQQ, looking a little bit more bearish. Not necessarily super bearish, but we're kind of like stationary with a little bit of a downwards thrust. So we had this high up here around this 501 area. We made a lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, just like that. And you guys can see it's kind of downtrending a bit. I also want to mention the fact that it's underperforming because of a lot of tech stocks that are slowing down. And it's underperforming compared to SPY. So I think we're kind of range trading. We like to get bought up around this 494 area. Tomorrow we could dip and then retest, this high right here around the 497 area, then come back down, just continue to trade within this range between 494 and 497. But there might be a little dip coming. So we could be dipping back down to about 494. So look for a little dip, maybe a rebound and then a drop, and just more consolidation for downside is the most likely possibility. For Aapl has resistance around this 235 area, and we have support currently at 233 and then 232. Looking at the way we're moving, I'm seeing a little bit of downside right here. We have this tough resistance at 235. So I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of pop in and drop down lower towards 232. Aapl is showing a little bit of weakness. I think that we're going to retest 235 and consolidate and maybe see a little bit of a dip. We're just stuck right now in our range, and Apple's not looking as strong as before. That's why the QQQ is kind of underperforming compared to others. So that being said, let's talk about the others. We have Palantir also showing a little bit of weakness. We have this high up here making lower highs and lower lows. So this could actually dip towards a 28.11. I think we're going to be dipping to the lower 28s, and we'll see what kind of reaction we get from there. For Supermicro, there's a bit of a downtrend right over here as we're kind of like rejecting off our very, very key levels. So this is starting to downtrend as well. We're going to be looking for a test of about 867. If that fails us, we'll be dipping even lower towards this imbalance. So I do see us kind of dipping a little bit lower. For Rivian is showing more life. This looks like it could try to hold the 20 EMA as long as it holds above 17.8. I'll be looking for a push back up to the 18s. So I favor that a little bit more as a stronger possibility. On top of all of this, I just wanted to mention that SoFi is dipping a little bit. It might dip just a little bit more to about the 7.68 area than try to bounce. But overall, the trend is more bullish. The overall trend is bullish on SoFi. I think the 8+ area is coming. Look for a little dip and a bounce into the 8s as the most likely possibility. For the IWM Russell 2000, we have basically 225 as resistance. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little reaction off 225. We could dip just a little bit to the breakout area to 222.5, but then we may continue to go higher. So whether we dip a little bit to 222 again and then bounce, or if we just bounce from here, either way, I see us continuing to rally. I see this going into the 240s soon. I think we could dip a little bit first and then bounce, or we could just keep going from here, but 240 is likely coming. AMD is looking a little bit more bearish as we're rejecting off our 20 EMA. I see a little dip coming to at least 176 in the lower levels. So watch for that carefully as we're seeing a little bit of a downtrend. There's a little bit of weakness that's perpetuating. For ARM, we're rejecting off our 20 EMA, so we could be dipping a little bit lower towards 175. We're kind of rejecting here on a bit of a downtrend, so there is a risk of some more downside. Still looks a little bit more bearish to me. Coinbase is looking more bullish, just like Bitcoin is trying to break out. And we have a nice double bottom like structure. I think it's going to continue to climb. And we could be looking for a test of about Now that it broke 250, I think 258 could be coming easily. Looks pretty bullish to me. Amazon kind of rejects off its 200 EMA. It's kind of dipping a little bit. We'll be watching 192 as key support. If this fails, I see us dipping all the way down towards 190.9. So I see a little bit of a dip coming to the 191 area. Might dip a little bit lower from here. For Meta, we're also on a bit of a downtrend, kind of rejecting off our 20 EMA. Watch 485 as key support. If this fails, this will be dipping all the way down towards the 478 area. This is actually previous resistance becoming support. So I see a little bit of a downtrend coming to 480. So watch for that very carefully. For Microsoft, we're kind of rejecting off our 200 EMA. Going to be looking for a big rejection right here. I want to see if this can try to rebound and retest basically 450. We might try to do that tomorrow, but if we reject here, we're going to be dipping lower all the way down to 442. If we break past 450, we could try to bounce, but this chart looks more bearish so far. So maybe we retest 450 only to reject and dip lower. I could see this dipping all the way down to 442, so it looks a little bit more bearish to me. Google looks more bearish to me as well. It's barely holding 185. I could be looking for a move down to about 183.5. I'm seeing some weakness developing on Alphabet, so we'll just have to be very patient with this one for now. With that being said, going back to the memes, we have GameStop looking very bullish right now, trying to break out. If I pull up, let me just pull up the 4-hour time frame just to kind of show you guys this. The 4-hour is looking quite bullish to me. I think there's a good chance that this could actually continue to climb, and we could be looking for a push all the way up towards the 31 area. So I think 31 could be coming and forming a nice cup, and this looks more bullish. For AMC, we're looking a little bit more bullish right now as well. We have a nice breakout that's developing, and I think that this is forming a nice inverse head and shoulders like structure. So I'm going to be looking for a push all the way up to about 5.8. Also, I think that DJT is looking a little bit more bearish. It's kind of consolidating right now. We could be looking for a test of 34.68 before it tries to bounce. Look for a little dip and a bounce is the most likely possibilities. The VIX is trying to break out, but it doesn't matter much. It's not making much of a move. It's only up 0.5%. A real breakout would be a very, very big push to the upside. There's no sign of that yet. It's still kind of consolidating because it had 2 red days, a little bit of green. Now it's just like going back and forth and back and forth. Some tickers are slowing down, but like I said, the S&P 500 is still at all-time highs. Doesn't matter as much. We're not seeing an official breakout quite yet. The 10-year Treasury yield is dipping as the market is pushing higher. This was after Jerome Powell's speech. And also the dollar index is looking a little bit weak, but we're at some key support at 104. So we'll see if the dollar gets a bounce. If we get a big bounce, this could be bearish for the markets. If it loses this 104 area, this is going to lead to more downside because the dollar could be forming a double top and just reject. So that could actually cause the market to continue to push if we lose this 104 area. I'll be watching that as well, guys. But with that being said, I just want to say I really appreciate you guys so much for listening. Please have an absolutely incredible rest of the day. Enjoy your night, evening, or even your morning, depending on where you are around the world. And just know that as far as Tesla goes, it's very, very tricky. It had like a little dip that was coming before getting bought back up at the end of the day. So we'll see if the buyers defend Tesla going into tomorrow. Look for a very, very big test, which is what I showed you guys just a couple of minutes ago. So look at the 30 minutes time frame as a very, very good time frame to be watching for, even the hourly. And just know that we might see a little dip on Tesla, but we're going to be watching to see if we bounce off our trend line or not, or if we re-enter this downwards pattern. Give it some time. Be very, very patient when it comes to your trades. And I'll see you guys tomorrow before the market ends up opening. Thank you all so much for listening. Once again, guys, hope you guys really take care. Just know that I really appreciate you guys for your attention and all your very, very kind comments. Like, it means a lot to me. Just hearing you guys that a lot of people are just, making a lot of great trades or succeeding thanks to my analysis. Just know I'm not giving financial advice. I'm not telling you to buy or sell. That's your choice. But my analysis is here to just provide knowledge, education, just assist you guys with whatever it is that you want to do. So with that being said, have a very, very great rest of the day. I will see you guys tomorrow before the market opens. I can't wait to see what happens. It's very, very fortunate that the market doesn't have too much major data for the next few days, which gives us some leeway. So until I see you guys again, take care and peace out.